Hari Om Satnam. When I call on the light within, I go home. I call on the light within. I call on the light within. I call on the light. I call on the light. I call on the light within. I call on the light within. I call on the light within. I call on the light. I call on the light. I call on the light within. Hari Om Satnam. When I call on the sound within, I go home. I call on the sound within. I call on the sound within. I call on the sound. I call on the sound. I call on the sound within. I call on the sound within. I call on the sound within. I call on the sound. I call on the sound. I call on the sound within. Hari Om Satnam. When I call on the truth within, I go home. I call on the truth within. I call on the truth within. I call on the truth. I call on the truth. I call on the truth within. I call on the truth within. I call on the truth within. I call on the truth. I call on the truth. I call on the truth within. Hari Om Satnam. When I call on the love within, I go home. I call on the love within. I call on the love within. I call on the love. I call on the love. I call on the love within. I call on the love within. I call on the love within. I call on the love. I call on the love. I call on the love within. Hari Om Satnam. When I call on the light within, I go home. Hari Om Satnam. When I call on the truth within,